Burning questions for Raptors-Bucks Game 3. The Milwaukee Bucks dominated the first two games of the Eastern Conference Finals at home against the Toronto Raptors. Now the series has game details. Here's a look at the start time, television information, and odds for tonight's Raptors-Bucks Game 3. The big picture: one more win for the Bucks Sunday night almost assures Toronto will be ousted from the playoffs. In NBA history, with that in mind, let's look at some burning questions ahead of this incredibly important Game 3. Will Kawhi get any help? As we've seen throughout the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard has during the first two games of this series. Ahead of Game 3 tonight on at 7 p.m/ET, watch Kawhi's top plays in his career. In a losing cause, he scored 31 points in Games 1 and 2, thanks in part to an aggressive approach that garnered him 20 free throw attempts, all makes. The big problem for Toronto is that Leonard's supporting cast has failed to provide him with any consistent help. Pascal Siakam: if the Raptors are going to make a series out of this, Leonard needs some help. Can Toronto slow down Milwaukee's bench? One of Milwaukee's great strengths is that the bench is a factor on an almost nightly basis. So far in this series, George Hill was a defensive force, 4 steals and a block in Game 1, while Ersan Ilyasova and Malcolm Brogdon scored 22 points off the bench. The Bucks then got a. If this trend continues in Game 3, then it might not matter what kind of night Leonard and the Toronto starters have. Will the home crowd make any difference? Toronto has lost 4 games total in the postseason so far, and 2 of them came at home. The Raptors just on the other end of the spectrum. Milwaukee hasn't lost a game on the road yet throughout the postseason. So it's worth one. Will Giannis develop that killer instinct? All the greats have that special gene that compels them to mercilessly dispatch their opponent during critical moments. Michael Jordan was. If Giannis can put together a signature performance on the road Sunday night in Game 3, it might not matter what kind of bench play the Raptors get. It might not matter. Related slideshow: best of the NBA playoffs provided by Iman.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.